We talk to our next recurring guest on The Future Was Yesterday with our good friend CarriersEdge CEO Jane Jazrawy. And we're going to be talking about the latest innovations and outlooks. We're talking about AI today. We actually had a great conversation with Ed Garston of Forbes, a contributing writer over at Forbes magazine, about that Forbes will fire you if there's even a whiff of AI inside of your news story. Game, set, match, done. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how you can use AI properly. But Jane, before we get to any of that, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm really good. And shout out to Madison on her first solo gig. This is awesome. It went well for me. Let's just say it went well for me.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, Jane, I'm so pleased, by the way, because I get here before anybody else. There's no way anybody's beating me here, except for maybe Dave if he decides he's tired of me beating him here. Bright and early, I got a text from Madison saying I'm going to be in early. I got some stuff I got to check, was on top of it. And actually, Andre got up to make sure she was okay before he had to go run off and take some kids to school. And our good friend Nick DeMeo, as always, is monitoring things as he does on a regular basis. How are you? What is going on? And what is CarriersEdge doing these days? And then we'll kind of pivot to AI stuff.
Well, right now I'm not too bad. We're starting to get psyched up for Best Fleets to Drive For. That opens day after Labor Day. That's when nominations open for 2026. So we're going around and around about where we're going to do the awards. And we might be back at the Hall of Fame, the NASCAR Hall of Fame, because it seems to be one of the best venues that has everything that we like. So we've been working on that. Also releasing a bunch of courses that we've been working on for a really long time. We've got a really comprehensive air brakes suite of courses that are going to be released in the next month or so. We are driver ergonomics, so how to kind of keep your body safe in the cab and not wrecking your back or your knees or anything like that by doing things that so preventable injuries kind of thing. And the last one is hazmat for fuel haulers, which we have been working on. We've had a hazmat course and an ELDT hazmat course for a long time, but this is we've got one specifically for fuel haulers. So we're really excited about that. So there's been a lot of work going on.
I mean, and by the way, that's a lot of work. It's kind of funny too. It's funny too. You ever had that happen? I'm sure a lot of our trucking friends out there have it happen too, where you say, "Well, I'm just kind of getting by," and then you kind of make a list of all the stuff that is coming up that you are working on at the same time, and you go, "Oh my God, why did I?" Sometimes they tell you need to write everything down so you can keep it all straight. Sometimes I write everything down, Jane, and I go, "Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have written all this stuff down. Now I'm suddenly worried about getting it all done." I mean, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but I've actually had that happen. And AI, to some degree, sometimes can do that for you and remind you of all the stuff you've done, but it can also remind you of all the stuff you have undone. And you kind of wanted to talk about that today, didn't you?
I kind of did. Well, Future Was Yesterday. We're supposed to talk about tech, and the whole big story in tech is AI. I mean, you cannot get away from it. Every single application has something AI enabled, and I thought, okay, I've been kind of on the on the bandwagon of be careful of it. It can be really concerning. There's all kinds of pitfalls, and I thought, you know what? Okay. Let's talk about AI, but let's talk about what you can use it for, because there are starting to become some really good uses for it. And I'm not talking about creating memes. It is absolutely a fabulous image creator if you want to make a meme. It will make a meme all day, every day. That is not what I'm talking about, because there are much more useful things for a professional driver to use it for. And this is more on I'm not really talking about the work side of it, because I agree with you, or I agree with the gentleman from Forbes, where you don't want to be using it at work to do creative things. And I'm the same way. If you're going to, because we're writing courses and creating images that go with courses and things like that, there's any AI involved, I'm not interested. Like, I don't want AI to spit out a course for me. Thank you very much. There's a lot of nuances that go into trucking. There's a lot of changes that happen. AI gets it wrong. I am not interested in that. However, there are tools that are useful, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about.
Let me say something really quickly about my own use of AI. What I will often do is I will write copy. I will then highlight it all, and I will look at the AI and I'll say summarize, and it'll come back and give me a summary. I will not use that summary for anything, but I say if that summary actually is a clear, condensed, basic. This is important too. I'm not looking if it picks up the nuance, but if it looks at it and goes, "Oh yeah, you're saying this," I'm like, "Good, done, move on." Meaning that But if I notice that it's misinterpreting something, I don't react badly. I don't go, "Well, shut up, you." But I've often said that if it actually can summarize what I'm saying to me, I've kind of got it right. But I will never take a style point from it. I will never use it in my own copy. And this isn't like a religious thing. This isn't like orthodoxy or anything. It's a matter of, if you look at the way AI rewrites things, it does it to make it look a certain way. It is following
It has a style.
It has a replicative pattern. It doesn't always get the meaning right. What it does is, everybody loves to tell you, people who can't write love to say, "Oh yeah, you can spot AI by the big dashes, the M dashes." I'm like, no. M dashes are the mark of people who actually, many people who write beautifully, like Dorian Lynskey talked about it. Dorian Lynskey, who is this amazing writer, uses the M dashes a lot. It's a way of him thinking aloud inside of text. The AI looks at that and replicates the visual reality of it, not realizing what exactly it should be used for. I say if you see an M dash that doesn't appear to be a digression of thought, but simply appears to be a duplication of what was already said, then you're probably dealing with AI. It tends to be highly redundant in its replication. That's my take. I'd love yours.
Well, I mean, I don't really want to use it for writing because I know how to write. I don't need help.
Exactly.
And I don't like. I also am really against training the AI model. Like, I don't want to. I am never putting a whole bunch of data into it because I don't want it. I don't want that. I want my like the stuff that my company does is my stuff. I don't want AI taking it and incorporating it and saying, "Okay, write a Carrier's Edge course for me," and having other people thinking, "Well, this is good enough." And so I'm kind of leery of that, but there are uses for it. So let's talk about what the good things are. I just wanted to mention that sometimes AI does remind me of Clippy. Remember Clippy?
Oh yeah.
I see you're writing a letter. From like the 1980s.
Half second, Jane.
Jane,
half second.
Oh, okay.
Madison, do you remember Clippy? Do you know what Clippy is? It was a paper clip that when you would work on a Word document would pop up and be like, "Hey, do you need help? I can help you." And it was a paper clip with two giant eyes. It was really creepy.
I think that might be slightly before my time because I did play on my grandparents' computer when I was younger, and I would go to their house. And
you don't get to talk anymore. You have grandparents that use computers. You're done here.
That's okay. Yeah, they had like a desktop with like Minesweeper on it. I would play like the games that were like
You're talking about using a grandparent's computer. That's it. We're done here.
Okay, sorry.
We're done. Thank you. Moving on. Go ahead, Jane. Continue with your young self.
But the other thing, yes, that is right. I don't remember Clippy either. Yeah. When I started using AI, and I was using ChatGPT. So when ChatGPT started its beta, I got in early because I wanted to see what this thing was about. And what I noticed was it is so nice to you, and it drives me up the wall. It's like everything is very, butterflies and roses. And when you do give it something to edit, Jimmy, don't you find that it just is just so nice? It gives you the whole compliment sandwich, and it kind of drives me nuts that I don't like that particularly.
It's Hal. It's Hal from 2001. Well, hey, Jane, how are you today? We do such great work together, you and I. It's really creepy. Stanley Kubrick, once again, ahead of his time. Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
or people copying Stanley Kubrick. But I would say you can ask it to not do that. So I wanted to mention that there's tons, like ChatGPT is the first and the most famous, but there's a whole bunch of them. If you just take a look at, you just kind of look up ChatGPT alternatives. There's a whole bunch of them, and there's like Gemini, Google's Gemini. There's Microsoft Copilot. Well, I don't like that, but there's a whole bunch of other more specific things. But I think Microsoft has some. I think Bard has. Which one is Bard? I can't remember. There's a ton of them. Everybody's coming up with them. And so I'm using ChatGPT. So I'm going to talk to you about, my experiences with ChatGPT. So if you want to use one, you can sign up for it. You have to give you have to create an account. You have to give up some personal information. But there's a lot you can do for free. If you want to just do kind of a text chat, or if you want to create a basic image, then you can do that with the free version. What is crazy is that ChatGPT will create videos for you, and it will also do audio files. So this comes into play with the other things that I'm going to talk about, but I thought that was crazy. But you have to pay for it, and I wasn't paying for it. You have to upgrade. But the other thing that I wanted to mention, I already mentioned it, is anything that you tell an AI is going to be used for training it. And so I'm kind of like, no, I don't want to do that. But what they have in ChatGPT is a feature called temporary chat. And this is what OpenAI, that's the maker of ChatGPT, this is what they say. I don't know if this is true, but they say that anything that you do in a temporary chat is not used for training. So I've been using temporary chat to do a whole bunch of things. Yeah.
I want to really quickly, before we kind of move on and kind of dig into this a little bit deeper, to let you know that the people who are talking to you on YouTube right now, Marshall Platter says he wants you to know that over at Halvor Lines, they use CarriersEdge. Thank you for that. Our good friend Jerry Bauer says, I'm sticking with early is on time and on time is late. I don't know if you know this, Jerry Bowers, the truck driver, came down to our ribbon cutting ceremony down here. And Marshall also says, I love Meta on Facebook explaining my post. When I was posting that I was heading to NOLA for the party, it said that it was probably a motorcycle gang meeting. I just wanted to let you know that. He was right, by the way. There was actually a moment when, if it hadn't rained, we were going to bring some motorcycles in from Bike Week. I'm sometimes creeped out, by the way, by some of the AI in Meta that seems to be able to anticipate things based on the patterns it recognized earlier. Sorry to take you in the weeds like that, but our friends are all listening and wanted to say hi as well.
Hi. That's awesome. Hi. Well, the thing is I ignore everything that comes up on a search from AI. I'm like, you know what? People are paying to have their posts sponsored. I'm not going to even look at that. But I've noticed that in Facebook and other social media things, they have summaries of the Facebook posts. And I'm like, yeah, it's a Facebook post. I don't need a summary, but they always get it wrong. So this is the whole thing about AI, is that there's a lot of inconsistencies and things that are wrong, but there are things that are relatively useful. So can I start talking about it?
Go.
Okay. First one, create an exercise plan. And I know that Halvor in particular has their own amazing fitness. They have a whole fitness thing for drivers, and it's really cool. And I am not saying that this is going to replace it, but this is something that's becoming popular. And the more information you feed into the AI, like your weight and your height, or the specific types of things that you want to exercise, or whatever it is, the more detailed it can get. And I tried this, so I did all of these things while I was trying to figure out what I was going to talk about. So we've done an exercise course that we actually did with Halvor. It's kind of funny that Halvor, the driver from Halvor, is on. So I did it. We did it in conjunction with Halvor, and so I had an idea of what drivers are being told to do on the road, and I wanted to know if ChatGPT was going to kind of tell me the same thing, and it did. So apparently, you can get a relatively good exercise fitness and exercise plan from ChatGPT. It will also, if you ask it to give you some motivation, it will. It will, as you have a conversation with it, the more in depth that you get, it basically will respond to you. And so I think there's a lot of people who are actually going to this instead of personal trainers is using ChatGPT for this. And if you've paid to upgrade, it will do a video for you. So I asked it to create an exercise plan for me because I have an injury that is really bothering me, and I've been working on it for a while. And so I'm like, okay, what would you do? Tell me what you would do. And it gave me kind of the things that I'm supposed to do. And then I said, well, create, and it said, do you want a video? And I said, yes, but it wouldn't give me one because I haven't paid for it. But so you can get one. And I thought that was really interesting. The next thing that I wanted to do, and I love this, it's kind of creepy, is that you can get into a conversation with it about nothing. You can use it for companionship. Now, if you want to use it, you can use it with audio. So you can have, I know people have reportedly used it for stories, like telling stories, and having ChatGPT actually tell you a story that is like based, a fairy tale or something like that, or make one up. And I tried a little bit of role play with it. So I said, I said, okay, you're a pirate and I'm Peter Pan. And it said, and I quote, aye, Peter Pan, ye be wanting a grand old pirate adventure, do ye? And then it just kept on going on. And then it said, speak up, lad, or be walking the plank, your next move. And I'm like, okay, it's doing it.
What the hell?
I know.
I want to get back to, by the way, the dietary stuff and the personal trainer stuff, and then we'll kind of get back to the role playing stuff as well too, and the companionship, which by the way is incredibly creepy. I do not want Hal turning off my life support systems because it's been given a contradictory order. The thing is, too, is
don't take ChatGPT into space. Then
I'll give you an example of this that makes a big difference for me. Like there's a line of thinking. A lot of truckers really understand this, really get this. Is that there are people who dress the same way every day. Now, some people now do it as a flex because Steve Jobs used to do it, and they think it's like I call it the replication of form over genuine content. But there are people who really try to limit what they wear to being comfortable, properly fitted, and not to have a lot of options because they're trying to focus on one particular thing. I actually got very interested in, for a while when I wanted to get back in shape a couple of years ago, I actually did a couple of months of dieting that was really limiting how much you would purchase from the store, creating just enough variety so that it wasn't the same thing every day, but not enough variety where I was like going, what am I going to eat? What am I going to eat? What am I going to eat?
Right.
It took me forever to do it. It was like a pain in the butt because half that stuff was beyond paywalls, which was infuriating to me. I was like, this is crazy that I have to pay to figure out, what 4 to 5 balanced meals a week are that give me enough variety, while at the same time don't take the unpredictability out of it. I will say this: that if you tell a ChatGPT to do that, it's like here's the 5 meals. Here you go.
Yep.
Eat these 5 things and do
the recipes. And recipes.
And the recipes. And while I know that there are nutritionists out there and there are people who are dietitians and trainers who are like, this isn't right, this isn't fair. I'm like, well, wait a second. If you're gonna work directly with me to help me, I get it. But if you're gonna give me some massive price point, and the other thing is too, because you could do this at the end, remember, if you could do the work yourself, meaning sit down and really do that research, because I did do the research all those many years ago and put that together. I just decided to check it now, and it more or less came up the same thing that I'd researched. One of the things that I do like, Jane, that I would encourage all of our listeners to do, if they do a search and the ChatGPT comes up, to please check the links on which it is telling you what to do stuff. I think at the end of the day, you can't just accept it as like the word of God. It is the word of a analytics computer program. That's all it is. It is not an intelligent, sentient being. It's playing off of patterns. And I think the role-playing stuff is fine if, in fact, you remember that it's not a person and that it doesn't care. That's the crucial thing, though. That's the crucial thing. You can't ever lose sight of that, right?
Yes, absolutely. And it's like anything. I mean, you can go to somebody's YouTube video and get a whole bunch of information, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct. And you should always, always be going based on multiple different places, and different sources of information. And with ChatGPT and doing all of this, it's a good way to start. If you want, like, I'm still perfectly fine with doing a Google search for the exact same thing. But what the nice thing is about AI, and I'm kind of at the point where it's not going away. So I'm going to embrace it. It's technology. I have to figure out how to use it. But always in my head, I'm like, okay, not totally sure. And from what I found is that AI gets it, kind of 85% right. But for example, with an exercise routine, I was reading an article from Men's Health about this, about a gentleman who'd done this, and he'd said that it kind of got things backwards. So it would take an exercise and do leg exercises in the wrong order because you're not supposed to work one thing before the other. And that's where human beings come in. And I think that human beings are not going to be kind of kicked out of all of this knowledge work. I think what's going to happen is everybody's going to go insane with AI. Then we're going to find the problems with AI. And then we're going to figure out where the humans actually fit in.
Where the humans return.
Yeah.
I want to give you an example. So I wrote in, how did Warren Buffett make his money on Google? Warren Buffett's wealth primarily comes from his astute investments and the success of Berkshire Hathaway. That actually says nothing. A conglomerate he built through strategic acquisitions and stock holdings. Once again, it says nothing. His investment approach, known as value investing, focuses on identifying undervalued companies with strong fundamentals and holding them for a long time. That's the first thing that has any sort of meaning that was said. Buffett's early success stemmed from his investment partnerships where he managed funds for others and earned a share of the profits. Basically, there's only one sentence in there that means anything. The good news is his investment approach, known as value investing, there is actually a hyperlink that takes you to a human-written explanation of what value investing is. But people need to remember this stuff can be incredibly helpful, but it is only the beginning of the process and not the end,
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree with you. The other thing is that filler stuff. People do that too. The AIs learn from human stuff, and generally people are filled, like writing from people is just, like, generally you're always getting, like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Like, where is the actual point here? So it doesn't surprise me, but I have noticed as well that anything that AI generates tends to be, there's a lot of blah, 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 and you have to tell it, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. And because otherwise it will give you all kinds of stuff. And it will add up numbers wrong. So be careful if you're relying on AI to do any kind of math for you. It routinely gets things wrong. I would much rather go to Google, do a search for a calculator and do it that way rather than go to ChatGPT and ask it questions.
We only got a moment left here, Jane. I wanted to thank you for making your way over to Road Gang Radio and jumping into the conversation. Yeah, it's really important to remember at the end of the day, it's still the human factor that makes all the difference. If you're looking at it for a quick and easy solution, no. What you're doing is you're giving yourself, it's funny, you're prompting it to prompt you.
Yes.
I think that's the best use of it. If you can prompt it to prompt you, but you still got to do the work. I think that it has amazing applications for people who suffer from neurodivergent disorders who often have a problem starting stuff. I think that if it has any value, it's going to be helping people who have autism, neurodivergence, ADHD, all those sort of problems. By the way, our good friend Mark chimed in on the Tube of You, really insightful thing. He basically said, garbage in, garbage out, had ChatGPT tell me one of my meds was not what it was. You have to be very careful. Jane, thank you so much. It's great to have you, my sister. Good to have you on. We love you,
Thank you.
We will talk at you soon. Jane, of course, at Carrier's Edge. Go to CarriersEdge.com. She's the CEO and Grand Poobah over there. Thank you, Jane.